think you know the story of God and the devil. What about the one where the brightest angel's shining skin blistered and blackened, and his body gave off a stench so foul it killed the simplest forms of life? How about a God who made Satan not his enemy, but his employee of the month, humanity's own personal trainer? And what about a universe where a child starving to death is just another tragic note in a divine symphony? This is the truth they don't teach you in Sunday school because it burns your cozy little worldview to the ground. He was the best angel, but he wanted to be God. All right, let's get into it. Forget everything you've seen in sappy movies and on Christmas cards. The story where it all began is a whole lot dirtier. In the beginning, there was him. He had a different name back then, a name of light. Don't just picture an angel ... picture heaven's top exec. The boss's right-hand man, the brightest, the smartest, the most beautiful. His light blinded other, lesser creations. He was perfect, and he knew it. This is the part they definitely skip in Sunday school, but his biggest problem was a case of next-level narcissism. He'd spend hours gazing at his own reflection in the celestial ether. He was in love, madly in love, with his own perfection. And at some point, you know how it is with geniuses and psychopaths, a simple thought hit him. If I'm this good, why is someone else in charge? He looked at the throne and thought, what's he got that I don't? The system is flawed. I can do better. And so he began his campaign. He didn't come in with swords drawn. Oh no, he was much smarter than that. He walked through the groves of paradise and whispered. He whispered simple, yet seductive, things into the other angels' ears. About freedom, about how the rules were suffocating, about a life without bowing to eternal laws. He was persuasive as hell, so persuasive that a third of them followed him. A third of the entire angelic host. Just let that number sink in. 1 in every 3 angels said, yeah, this guy's got a point. Let's go break the system. And that's when what official history shamefully calls the rebellion began. Rebellion? Bullshit. This was the universe's first civil war, on a cosmic scale. And here Essa detailed the historians hide in the footnotes. Imagine what a battle between angels looks like. It's not knights in shining armor. It's blasts of pure energy incinerating reality. It's screams that crack the stars. Imagine that sound. Not the clash of metal, but the snap of tearing wings that were once symbols of purity. Imagine the smell not of gunpowder and blood, but of ozone, of burnt grace, of light collapsing into black holes. It was an absolute, all-consuming nightmare, but as you know, the coup failed. The traitors were crushed. And right here, stop. Let's take a breath. Because this is where the truly brutal part begins. He could have just destroyed the losers, wiped them from existence, but no. The punishment had to be a statement, humiliating. They threw him, the most beautiful one, down. And during that endless fall through the void, his body began to change. This wasn't a quick transformation. It was agony. His shining skin blistered and blackened like cheap plastic in a fire. His perfect features melted, the bones of his skull cracked and warped, twisting into grotesque horns. The feathers of his magnificent wings burned away, leaving nothing but charred, leathery membranes, like a diseased bat's. The light inside him didn't just go out. It was turned inside out, twisted into a knot of pure hatred and pain. He hit the bottom of creation not as a shining angel, but as a vile, twisted monster whose stench alone could kill the most primitive life forms. He went from being the most beautiful to the most repulsive. You'd think that was it. The end. Just quiet horror and oblivion in a cosmic gutter. But it was right there, in that bottomless pit, smeared in his own pain and humiliation, that he realized one simple thing. If you can't be a god up there, you'll become one down here. And the monstrous kingdom he began to build on the ashes of his former glory, and the bones of his followers would make that angelic war look like a schoolyard scuffle. God made a cruel bargain, and the monstrous kingdom he began to build on the ashes of his former glory, and the bones of his followers would make that angelic war look like a schoolyard scuffle. And now for the million-dollar question. What was the big guy doing all this time? You know, the Almighty. Was he just sitting on his golden throne, watching sadly as his favorite son turned into a monster building a basement Disneyland of pain and eternal torment? Nope. And here we come to the part that isn't discussed in polite company. But we're not in polite company, are we? So here it is. God didn't just let this happen. He was counting on it. So, strapped in. Let's go. All your freedom, your so-called free will, it's not a gift. It's a cruel, bloody bargain made behind your back. You see, without Satan, without that concentrated, absolute evil, your choice to be good isn't worth a damn thing. It's like a robot programmed to say, I love you, telling you it loves you. Nice, maybe, but is there any value in it? Zero. Avoid. God didn't want robots. He wanted real, conscious love. And for that, the choice had to be real. There had to be an alternative. And not just some petty bullshit, like stealing a cookie from the cafeteria. No, the alternative had to be epic, seductive. As powerful as he was, he created the opposition with his own two hands. He allowed his finest creation to fall into the filthiest, most foul-smelling, pus-filled pit of humiliation so that he would become the perfect tempter. And that's where we come in, humanity. We're not the crown of creation. We're the lab rats in this grand moral experiment. We were thrown into this arena with absolute good on one side and absolute evil on the other and told, all right, choose. Show us what you're made of. Every prayer you utter, every good deed, every tear of compassion, that's a point for his column. An argument in the eternal debate, but every lie you tell, every drop of blood you spill, every treacherous thought, that's also part of the experiment. It's proof that the choice was real. Evil isn't a bug in the system. Evil is a mandatory feature. It's the weight on the barbell, without which the muscles of virtue would never grow. This is the point where your religious studies teacher would awkwardly flip the page, because this truth burns the whole cozy picture of the world to ash. Your right to choose good was bought with the existence of hell. Your virtue is paid for by the eternal torment of those who chose the other path. All the suffering, all the wars, all the sickness, it's not a tragic accident. It's the necessary price for your choice to mean anything at all. But if you think this cosmic contract was just filed away in some celestial office, you are dead wrong. The experiment had to start somewhere. It needed a patient zero, and for that, God created the perfect laboratory conditions, the Garden of Eden. But the story they told you about a foolish woman, a tempting serpent, and a sad little apple, that's a fairy tale for children. In reality, the first provocation was far more sophisticated and cruel. And the serpent's role in it was nothing like you've been led to believe. This universe was built for your suffering. And the serpent's role in it was nothing like you've been led to believe. So, let's cut to the chase. Get that syrupy, sweet image of God the gardener out of your head, the one who strolls through Eden just wanting his kids to be happy. It's a lie, a comfortable, warm, but no less venomous lie. The truth, the one they hide behind 7 locks of dogma and sermons, is much simpler and more cynical. This universe wasn't created for your happiness. It was created for your suffering. Yeah, you heard me. Your pain, your despair, humiliation, sickness, betrayal. It's not a bug in the system. It's its main goddamn feature. Don't picture a garden of paradise. Picture a gym. A hardcore basement gym, the kind that smells of sweat and rust, where there are blood stains on the walls and some poor bastard is puking in the corner because he overestimated his limits. That's our world, and God isn't some kindly father figure. He's a ruthless trainer who doesn't give a damn about your tears and whining. He wants results. He needs your soul, that flabby, pampered substance, to be forged into a steel cable. And how do you do that? That's right, through pain. By pushing you past your breaking point. And that's where our old friend, the one you call Satan, comes on stage. The serpent, the tempter, except he's not God's enemy. We don't say this in polite company, but we're not in polite company, are we? Satan is his best employee? He's humanity's personal trainer, the cosmic catalyst. He's that asshole screaming in your ear, "Come on, maggot, one more rep," when you're ready to die under the weight. He slips you temptation not so you'll fall, but so that by overcoming it, you'll get stronger. He sets you up to be betrayed by your best friend so you lines learn the bitterness of it and harden your heart. He sends a disease that gnaws at your body, eating you from the inside out, making you howl in helplessness, so that you son of a bitch, will finally understand the price of every single breath. This isn't a paradise where a tragic mistake happened. This is a brutal survival school, a boot camp, a meat grinder. The perfect laboratory conditions weren't created for eternal bliss, but for the first, most important lesson: you can suffer even in paradise. Adam and Eve weren't the first people. They were the first guinea pigs in this grand, cruel experiment. And the provocation with the apple was just the first exercise in their training program, a simple, basic one for beginners. You get it now. Every tear, every drop of pus from a wound, every scream of despair, it's just another rep in your own personal, hellish workout. It's all going according to plan. It's all to build you up. Cruel, absolutely. But just think, if this is the grand design, if the whole world is just a giant cosmic gym for souls ... then what's the ultimate goal of this workout? What awaits the graduates of this school of pain? And if you think the gym itself is hell, you have no idea what's really hiding behind the doors marked heaven and hell, because what happens to those who complete the course, and what awaits those who fail it spectacularly? That's a story that will make your blood run colder than any war or plague. You are just an ant in God's cosmic game. So, are you buckled up? Because we're about to tear those doors wide open. And let's start, shall we, with the one that has hell written on it, for the ones who couldn't cut it. For the weaklings, imagine not just pain. Not just fire and brimstone like in some cheap horror flick. Imagine an endless, sticky, humiliating terror, rotting wounds that never heal. The stench of your own filth that follows you for eternity. You lie in this muck, broken, crushed, and your only entertainment is watching other losers writhe in agony beside you. And in this shared chorus of groans and gasps, at some point, you all lift your eyes to a non-existent sky and scream. It doesn't matter to whom: God, the devil, the universe. You all howl the same question. For what? WHY? What's the point of all this suffering? And in the deafening silence of the cosmos, a voice resonates right inside your head. Calm, indifferent, and for that reason, 1,000 times more terrifying than any demonic laughter. The answer is simple, and who are you to ask? And in that moment, you get it. The real horror isn't the pain. It's not the pus and humiliation. The horror is that your suffering is utterly, totally, cosmically meaningless. There is no great lesson, no redemption. There is only the fact you lost a game whose rules you never even knew. Think the ones who made it past the door marked heaven hit the jackpot. Think again. Their heaven isn't clouds and harps. Their heaven is knowledge. The grand tapestry of the world is unfurled before them. They are shown all the gears of the cosmic machine, all the strings that pull on the human puppets, and they see everything. They see how their friend, who stumbled on the final trial, is now rotting in hell, not because he was weaker, but because on that particular day, the so-called God was rolling dice and he just got unlucky. They see that their own success isn't the result of willpower or valor, but simple chance, a whim, a cosmic fluke. Their heaven is sitting on a golden throne and realizing that the throne stands in the middle of a casino where everything is decided by blind luck. And your victory doesn't make you better than the loser. It just makes you a spectator to his torment. And here's a detail that historians shamefully hide in the footnotes because it shatters all the heroic myths. Both the winners and the losers ultimately arrive at the same conclusion. All their attempts to understand the design, to find logic, to justify the sacrifices it's like an aunt trying to study quantum physics by looking at the sole of the boot that's about to crush it. You are not a player, you are not even a piece on the board. You are the dust on that board, sent flying when a giant hand moves the pawns. And that realization is the real final hell? The understanding that there is no heaven, no hell. There is only a gigantic, incomprehensible mechanism, and you are just a disposable cog. But you know what the scariest part is? Sometimes the ants get tired of looking up at the sky, waiting to be crushed. Sometimes one ant decides that it can become the boot. And when a man stops trying to understand the divine plan and starts creating his own, forcing everyone around him to live by his rules, that's when a special kind of hell breaks loose, compared to which the indifference of the cosmos will seem like a cozy lullaby, the shocking truth. So, about that special kind of hell, you thought I was talking about another run-of-the-mill emperor who's gone off the rails or some newfound furor. Some little man who decided he's the boot that gets to stomp on everyone else. Oh no, my friends, that's small time. That's predictable. The real, blood-chilling horror doesn't begin when a man declares himself a god. It begins when you realize that the real God, the Almighty One, is watching all of this, and he approves. So, buckled up. Because we are now diving into a theological black hole that makes serial killer documentaries look like bedtime stories. They don't talk about this in polite society, but we're not in polite society, are we, right? So, there's this concept that our world is the best of all possible worlds. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Like a tourism slogan for paradise. But let's just think for a second about what that really means. It means that all the other options the absolute could have created were even WORSE. Just imagine that cosmic casting call for a moment. Worlds where pain is the only sensation, where the sun burns your eyes out at birth, where there is nothing but an eternal scream. And out of this entire heap of cosmic trash, our world with its wars, genocides, plagues, and cancers turned out to be the most tolerable option, the prettiest one. And right here, as your brain tries to digest that thought, the most horrifying question arises. Then why all the evil? Why, in the best world, do torture, betrayal, and people rotting alive exist? The answer, my friends, is simple and monstrous. They definitely won't tell you this in Sunday school. Evil is necessary. It is an essential part of the system. All this stench, pus, and despair serves a higher good. It's like a painting. To see the light, the artist must paint the shadow. Your suffering is just the paint God uses to create his fresco. See that plague pit over there, full of bloated, blackened corpses, the stench of which makes flies drop dead in midair. That's just a dark brushstroke to emphasize the radiance of heaven. See that child, dying of hunger in its mother's arms. That's just a tragic note in the divine symphony to make the final chords sound more triumphant. Your personal pain, your most devastating loss, it's not a tragedy. It's a variable in a divine equation. A statistical error in the name of universal harmony. Feel that chill running down your spine. We're not done yet. Because if evil exists as a function, there must be someone responsible for that function, the manager of the suffering department. And this is where our old friend, the ultimate antagonist of all time, Satan, enters the stage. Except, the official story prefers to keep this quiet, but he's not exactly a rebel. He's more like an outsourced contractor, an indispensable specialist who does the dirtiest work. Because without his temptations, without his whispered suggestions, without his little armies, good wouldn't have a chance to prove itself. He is the sparring partner for saints, the training equipment for the righteous. And the real kicker, the most poisonous cherry on this shit and tears cake. This whole spectacle has a pre-written ending. The fix is in. Satan's defeat is preordained. It's written into the script. He has to lose, but not right away. Only after he has met his quota of broken lives. Only after he has reaped the required harvest of screams. This isn't a war. It's a stage play where the actors die for real, just so the audience in the VIP boxes of heaven can applaud the victory of good. But you know what's truly terrifying? When this mind-bending, cosmic philosophy of necessary evil descends from the heavens to earth, when it falls into the sweaty, trembling hands of ordinary people. Because if evil is a tool in God's hands, why not become that tool yourself? Why not help the Almighty cleanse the world of filth with fire and steel? And that's when your pious neighbor, who just yesterday wished you a good morning, gets a divine license to find out if you've sold your soul to the devil. And to do so, he has not only righteous fury, but also a whole arsenal of very real tools of persuasion, from the rack to red-hot pincers. So here's the bottom line. The scariest thing isn't God's indifference, but a righteous man with a divine license for torture in his pocket. Did this grown-up breakdown hit the spot? Want more stories that make your brain creak? Then you know what to do. Smash that damn subscription button and hammer the likes so I know we're on the same wavelength. Now get in the comments and tell me, what historical figure or event do you think best illustrates this idea? Where did someone decide they were the hand of God and unleash hell on earth in the name of heaven? Think.